Hey guys, and welcome to the final WTA QualityShot Roland Garros Power Rankings. We're going to go over it. Of course, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go through it together. Of course, we did do the first Power Rankings for the women's side, and we'll have that up first, and then we'll, dissect that, go through it, see if anyone else needs to be included in, where the movers are, etc. And then this will be our final rankings going into Roland Garros. So I guess a 1 to 10 ranking of who we think from 1 to 10 who's the favorite, who's the second favorite, etc. For anyone that hasn't watched the videos before, this is based mainly on form, so mainly on current form and I guess recent form the last couple of months, especially on the clay court swing, given that of course it's going to be a clay court tournament, but even Miami, and Indian Wells and other tournaments as well before that throughout this year. And then there will be a little bit of consideration, especially with people who have won the tournament before Roland Garros, who have gone very deep and have consistent results there. And we think actually they're going to then go on and do it. And they've also shown a little bit of that form in the clay court swing, at least a little bit, if not more. So let me just share my screen and then we'll get into it. Some of the names you might think, oh my God, how has Fazan got them up there? Well, I'm sure they're going to change. Before we get into it as well, please remember to hit that like button, please, if you haven't done so already, and do subscribe if you're new to the YouTube channel. And of course, do check out our memberships as well to join. It is quite a cool perk anyway. There's some cool perks on there on the different levels, I guess, of membership, and it just will help us so much in regards to giving you guys the best content possible and improving and just making this the best platform that we possibly can, make it into. So any help is greatly appreciated. If you're, of course, a podcast listener or watcher, then please do remember to leave a rating or review as well. Okay, let's get into this. So this was the first one we put together. And you might say, oh, hold on, what is this? Well, let's get through it. So Swiatek was number 1. I don't think that's going to change, but, we'll go into it. Badosa at number 2, Jabeur at number 3, Bencic at number 4, Sakkari at number 5, Krejcikova at number 6 with an asterisk because she's still injured. We're not 100% sure if she's going to be competing, actually. I think there's been anything official. Jessica Pegula at 7, Raducanu at 8, Osaka at 9, and Sabalenka at 10. Okay, I think there's some kind of massive movements that are going to take place here now. First of all, I think we can go from the top down. And I think Swiatek at number 1 is... I don't think anyone can really disagree with that. I think she should be at number 1. No doubt, of course. She's won every single WTA Masters 1000 tournament that she's played. And for me, it's just been an incredible last couple of months for her. And I think we've got to give her some real credit, I think, going into Roland Garros. That, let's be honest, she's going to be a huge, huge favorite going into it. No doubt. And rightfully so as well, I think. Let's be realistic. I think she's going to be an overwhelming favorite, and I think she deserves to be there for sure. And then we can start looking at, I guess, some of the other players as well, because I think, as I said, let's be frank, no one really touches her, for me anyway, at that top spot. Swiatek, I think she is the main person for me there. Then I guess we can look a little bit into number 2, Badosa. Now, Badosa hasn't had a particularly good couple of weeks. She hasn't. And I think I'm going to do it, as I said, from 1 down. So for me, I want to put Jabeur there. And the reason why, and I think everyone will most likely agree with me, I'd imagine. Look, she won Madrid, which I think is a massive reason to put her there, but also she made the final of Rome. So for me, I think Ons Jabeur needs to be at number 2. Now, that's not to say that Badosa is going to be at 3. I think we need to discuss that. But for me, Jabeur goes at 2, and I think that's kind of, for me anyway, that is the kind of the top 2, no doubt. Now, Badosa is an interesting one because she's the number 2 in the world at the moment. Ons Jabeur has actually risen now to number 3 in the world. But Paula Padosa hasn't had the best of times. She lost in the round of 16 to Kasatkina in Rome. She lost in the round of 32 to Simona Halep in the second round. She did have a little bit of an injury, but Simona Halep also a very, very good player. and someone who, of course, is really, really experienced. And I think she's definitely rejuvenated under Patrick Mouratoglou. Charleston, she made the quarterfinals, then Stuttgart made the semi-finals, lost to Sabalenka. So quarterfinal, semi-final, second round, round of 16. Does she warrant her place at number 3? I think she probably does. I think it's quite hard to really look away from her just because I'm not quite sure who else to put there. Honestly, it's quite tough because someone like Alexandrova, and I think even Teichmann, I'm pretty sure we're going to get onto her because she's had a couple of really good weeks for me as well. Also, Kasatkina as well has been pretty good. We'll go into her as well, and it's Anisimova. So there's a couple of players I think we have to talk about, but I think for now, and again, I think on the women's side, it's a little bit harder because yes, you have to take into consideration current form. You have to also take into consideration how well they're going to play on the surface, and also, talent as well. And I think in the Grand Slam, she should be getting far. She's made a quarterfinal in the past, Badosa, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I think for me, she should really be at number 3, but we'll see whether that transpires or not. Then number 4. Now, Bencic, I don't think should be in there anymore. At number 4, I don't. I think she just hasn't had the best of form since Charleston. It's been a pretty barren run, honestly. And she made what? She lost in the second round to Anisimova in Rome, in Madrid. Made a round of 16 there, lost to Ons Jabeur. I guess there's no... Look, I mean, I guess there's no shame in that. Jabeur's a really good player, but Charleston then, of course, made the final, beat Jabeur. I think 4's a bit high, if I'm being honest with you. I think Charleston winning that, I think it's a 250, if I'm not mistaken. Madrid and Rome are the ones I'm really looking at. She's made round of 16 and round of 32. It's not really good enough. Sakkari made, if I'm not mistaken, the quarterfinals of Rome, right? And then she lost in 3 sets to Ons Jabeur, who's an informed player. She did only make, if I'm not mistaken, she had an early exit as well in Madrid, though, Sakkari, which would have been disappointing, I think, for her because, she lost to Kasatkina in round of 32, second round. But Kasatkina has been playing some good tennis, and we'll get on to her in a second. So for me, I think Bencic comes out. I'm not quite sure where she is here, if I'm being honest with you. So I think for now, we'll put Sakkari at 4. That's how I see it. Bencic, yeah, we're going to have to go into that. I'm not quite sure if Bencic should even be in the ranking. So we're going to talk about some other players as well. Jessica Pegula as well, Raducanu. I don't think Raducanu and Osaka is going to be in there. I think we're going to have some new entries into this power ranking. So for number 5, though, it's a tough one. Now, Sabalenka. We're going to talk about Sabalenka because she has had some adverse weeks, of course, on the clay, but she made the final of Stuttgart. Then she made the semi-finals of Rome, which I thought was really impressive, considering she's been in some pretty poor form recently. She did get beaten comprehensively by Swiatek, but it seems to be a surface where obviously she's got a lot more time, so she does seem to have some sort of success on there. It's a really, really, really tough one because obviously in Madrid, she didn't really have the best of times. I lost to Anisimova, but that just seems to be a bad matchup for her. So I would say that Sabalenka, after making the semi-finals of Rome, that puts her up at least a few spots. Krejcikova, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put her in at 10 because I think, honestly speaking, I think we don't know if she's going to play, and I think she can be a placeholder there. I don't think she should be at 6. I think realistically she should be down at 10. We don't know what's going to happen. She's going to go into it completely cold, but she's the reigning champion, which is why I put her in there. Pavlyuchenkova, by the way, has pulled out of Roland Garros. So she, of course, was the finalist last year. Really sad to hear because she only played, I think, a few matches this year, and she's had issues with injuries. So she's going to have, I think, a procedure done, and then she'll miss. I think she's saying she's going to miss quite a large period. I don't know if it's the whole season. I'm hoping it's not, but she'll miss Roland Garros anyway for sure. So Nisimova's got to go in there for me. Teichmann we're going to talk about. And it's a Kasatkina. Raducanu not in there. I'm going to put Sabalenka at 5. Now that might be a little bit of a stretch, but I think if they're good serving conditions at Roland Garros, which I talked to Amy about, of course, Amy Lundy on the preview we did for Roland Garros, and she said if it's hot and humid, then obviously that then definitely gives an advantage to the servers. And I think Sabalenka, of course, is one of the biggest servers on tour. Badosa's up there as well, to be fair. But Sabalenka for me at 5. Then at 6, I think Pegula will be disappointed with some of her results recently because she had a pretty good run. In Madrid, she made the final there. And then, if I'm not mistaken, in Rome even, she just didn't really do too much. And that'll be quite disappointing for her because, she made a really good run. I mean, even Azarenka as well had a couple of decent wins recently, but she won't be kind of in the discussion. But Jessica Pegula, yeah, I mean, do we really expect her to go super deep at Roland Garros? I think she can make a quarterfinal. I don't see why not. I don't necessarily think that she'll be the person that everyone will be expecting to make a semi, but she's been Mrs. Consistent, to be fair. And she's a very consistent player. She's an aggressive baseliner. She's got a little bit about her, no doubt. And in the singles loss in the round of 16 to Sabalenka very, very badly as well, got breadsticked. In Madrid, though, of course, she made the final. So I think we can put her up to number 6. I think that's pretty fair, given her results. I think she's been good, Pegula. So we'll put her at 6. Not Pegula, Pegula. And then we're going to talk about some of the other players. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, Raducanu's not in there for me anymore. I think she had a pretty good run at Stuttgart, and I thought she played quite well against Swiatek, and then a couple of good wins, and I thought, maybe. But, of course, she then had to retire early against Andreescu, who had a good run in Rome, made the quarterfinals, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So that was pretty impressive from her, and good to see her back playing some really good tennis. She actually lost the first set to Swiatek in a tiebreaker, got bageled in the second. I mean, that can happen. And what's really great as well, by the way, is the fact that Sabalenka in Rome, I didn't mention this, she beat Anisimova, who's a player, she's 4-0. She had a 4-0 losing record to Anisimova going into that match as a head-to-head. So she'd never beaten her, lost 4 times, winning against Anisimova, lost the first set as well, 6-4, then managed to win the next 2 sets. Really impressive display from Sabalenka. Then, of course, in the semi-finals, Swiatek is just not a good matchup for her, or not just for her, for anyone really right now. So that's not a massive surprise. So that's why I think she does deserve to be at 5. I think she's made some strides. And looking forward to, of course, Sakkari made the semi-finals of Roland Garros last year, had match points against Krejcikova, or Krejcikova even. And in the end, didn't manage to convert. So, yeah. Number 7 is going to be someone new. And I think we've got to put them in there because I think they've been very impressive. And it's a left-hander. And it's Teichmann, the Swiss player. She's been really good. Of course, we had a couple of surprises in Madrid with Alexandrova and Teichmann both making the semi-finals. But Teichmann then followed that up in Rome by making the quarterfinals. She lost to Kasatkina, but it was a walkover in the end. She was losing 6-4, 3-2. But I think some of the form that she's been showing, and I think confidence that we've seen from her is pretty impressive. And I think we need to put some respect on her name and really give her the props that she deserves. So I think for me, Teichmann goes in there at number 7. I think she's been really, really good. And I'm happy to put her in there. Teichmann, I think she's been really good. And then if we look at number 8, I think it's a no-brainer for me. It's a no-brainer. Amanda Anisimova, I think she's been really good the last couple of tournament. She made the semi-finals in Charleston, lost in 3 sets to Jabeur. She then made the quarterfinals of Madrid, lost to Alexandrova, and then she made the quarterfinals again in Rome, lost to Sabalenka as a semi, quarter. I mean, she's probably unlucky not to be even higher up, honestly. But I just think the fact that Bula made a final, I think there's a big plus there, and the fact that Sabalenka made the final in Stuttgart. I know it's a 500, but then she also made a semi-final. I think that kind of outweighs it a little bit, and I just think pedigree as well plays a part, and I think Sabalenka does have pedigree. I think Anisimova also, though, has had some really good results at Roland Garros. So, look, let's see how she goes. I'm very much looking forward to seeing the type of tennis she's able to play. I think she's a fantastic player. I really do. Anisimova, I think she's much better than people give her credit for. Yes, she can spray the ball a little bit, but a lot of these big hitters can, and I think she's still learning. She's still very much, a player that is progressing. She's only 20 years of age. People forget that. She's 20 years old. This could be her breakthrough year, Anisimova. I'll tell you that. So keep an eye out for her. And then the last spot is an interesting one. Who do we go for? So because we've obviously got Krejcikova holding that number 10 spot, I think rightfully so. I want to give it to someone who might surprise you a little bit. And I'm going to give it to Kasatkina. Now, she made the semi-finals of Rome, lost in 3 sets to Ons Jabeur. And then, before that, she then lost in the round of 16, if I'm not mistaken, to Sriwas Tormo, where she should have really won that match. She should have really won it. I just think she might have turned the corner a little bit. I think she might have turned the corner a little bit. And so I'm going to go with Kasatkina. And I have to say and give a very, very honourable mention to Andreescu, who's played some really good tennis. Herself and obviously Raducanu made the round of 16 in Madrid. Raducanu lost in 3 sets to Kalinina and Andreescu to Pegula. But then in Rome, she then made another little run, making the quarters, again, going one step further. And she lost to Swiatek, who's the best player in the world right now. So, look, I think we have to give some props as well to Andreescu. I think she will be a potentially dangerous player going in there as well. It's going to be really interesting to see how Osaka does. I mean, she hasn't played Rome, if I'm not mistaken. She didn't play Rome. She pulled out. She had Sriwas Tormo in the first round, who she lost to in Madrid. So I'm not quite sure where she's going to go in terms of whether she's going to be playing. I don't know. What I'm going to say is, for me, looking at this top 10, it's completely different, I think, to what I was expecting. I was expecting to have maybe a Coco Gauff in there even, because I think the clay should really suit her game in terms of having more time on the forehand. She takes big swings. I know she's still very young. But then someone like Anisimova, she's obviously a lot younger Gauff, but I thought maybe she might be in there. Even Raducanu, I thought, look, she's probably not going to be in the top 5, but maybe she might hover around the 8 to 10 mark. Even Leylah Fernandez, right? She's a former Roland Garros junior champion. She hasn't really had the results, though. But great to see Andreescu come back into form. Great to see some of these players like Kasatkina as well. She's young. She's hungry. She's talented. Seeing her do well. Shame that we're not going to see Pavlyuchenkova, of course, the finalist from last year. I'm hoping we see Krejcikova. I'm really hoping we see her because she's a really, really good player. And I think the tour's much better for her. Good to see Sakkari back in some form as well. I think we need to see her playing some good tennis on the clay. It's a surface she should be doing well on. And Badosa, let's hope she's able to rediscover some of that form that we expect of her. She's a very exciting talent for sure. So that's my top 10. Let me know what you think. So I'll quickly go through it. It's Swiatek at number 1, Ons Jabeur at number 2, Paula Padosa at number 3, Maria Sakkari at number 4, Aryna Sabalenka at number 5, Jessica Pegula at number 6, Jill Teichmann at number 7, Amanda Anisimova at number 8, Daria Kasatkina at number 9, and of course Barbora Krejcikova at number 10. Let me know your thoughts on whether you agree with the power rankings. Who would you have in different positions? Would you have different positions, and where would you move people around? Would he even have someone else in there that I missed? And why? Let me know. Of course. And yeah, just let me know even your thoughts on Roland Garros if you've got any thoughts on that as well. As always, I'll see you on the comment section. And do remember to like the video if you are watching on YouTube or listening on YouTube. And do subscribe if you're new. And if you're a podcast listener or watcher, do leave a rating or review. Really does help us out. Thank you very much, guys. Stay safe and well. And we'll see you on the next video.